AEW Collision was the best wrestling show this week, followed by MLP Fusion, AEW Dynamite, and well, you get the point for the rest of it. WWE had a botch that has everybody talking.
Screw the script!
Welcome back, everybody. It's Screw Script. I'm your host, as always, Maverick. Thanks for joining me this Sunday evening. Hope you guys had a great weekend. This is going to be a shorter video, and the reason for that is we are moving. We're moving to a new townhouse. Going to be a lot more space. Mid-July is when we're moving, so we've been packing every weekend leading up to that. And with that being said, I am going to have a new setup at some point in July, probably towards the end of July. Once we get settled in, I'm going to just rearrange my setup, hopefully make it look better than it currently is. I've been sharing this desk with my other half as she works from home, and so it's shared space, and I'd like to have my own space. Hopefully I can do that for you guys. If you're new here to Screw the Script Pro Wrestling, what we're all about is we go against the script that says that WWE is the best pro wrestling and the only pro wrestling needed in America. I don't believe that. I think AEW is a far superior pro wrestling show. I think MLP is better than WWE right now with their resurgence. And I know it's not an American show, but it's a North American show, MLW, which we'll talk about that briefly in this video as well. AEW Collision was the best show of the entire week. A rare time where Collision was better than Dynamite, because typically Dynamites are better than Collision, and that's not going against Collision by any means in a negative way. It's just Dynamite is basically their A show, and Collision is their B show, kind of like Raw and SmackDown is for WWE. You get the point. But Collision was damn good. Here's that card. Kenny Omega defeated Bad Dude Tito in the first match. I'm not quite familiar with him. I know that he's from, I believe, New Japan, and is part of Zack Sabre Jr.'s group. So it makes sense he had a match against him, as Kenny and Zack Sabre Jr. will fight at Forbidden Door. That was a great match. Kevin Knight and Myron Reed. That was my second match of the night. Kevin Knight ended up retaining there. Fantastic match there featuring two young guys in AEW. And you guys all know how I feel about young pro wrestling talent. AEW has the best of them. Julia Hart and Persephone had a great match. We saw Persephone come out on top. Great win for her there. I really like her. Shida and Zeta Steel. Shida comes out on top. Zeta Steel, great worker. I love seeing more and more of her. I hope we continue to see more and more of her on Dynamite, on Collision, whatever it is, ROH. Speedball and Jake Doyle had a fantastic match. You saw Athena in action. The Rascals won in a squash match. My match of the night, though, was a tie between that Cincinnati street fight. A lot of fun. We saw Shane Taylor just eat a lot of moves at the end and get pinned. Moxley's team win with the Death Riders. I want to say, as I'm covering it now, my match of the night was definitely the tag match between the Bucks and the Dogs. God damn, are the Dogs just stacking up wins in AEW, really putting them on the map. Tony Khan's doing a great job with them despite the setbacks that they had early on, because they won the trios titles pretty damn quick once Dave Finlay showed up, but Gabe Kidd got hurt. And to tie into that, match of the night, which the Dogs ended up winning, surprisingly, they're getting a lot of W's right now as a tag team. Gabe Kidd is back, as we see right there. He returned from injury. He attacks Shota. He puts Drilla Maloney in an awkward spot, not sure where that's going. And then he went on to say on the mic that AEW is where the best wrestle, New Japan sucks. He's basically taking shots at New Japan now, saying that AEW is better than any other promotion that he's wrestled for. So very interesting to see him back. We also had a segment where Tekla announced the match for Forbidden Door. It's none other than Starlight Kid against Tekla. Starlight Kid, I'm not super familiar with her, but I looked her up after the match was announced, and she seems very talented. I really like the mask that she wears. It's very unique. So that's another match added to Forbidden Door. Now, at the end of that, after she's been calling out Stardom wrestlers, is this where we see Kairi Sane debut? Let me know down below if you think that's where she debuts, or are they going to hold it off until All In at Wembley? Not entirely sure, but this match should be superb. In other AEW-related news, here's a post by Drainmaker. Over 5,000 tickets have already been distributed for AEW Grand Slam Arena Mexico. I think I screen grabbed this actually like a day or two ago, so it's probably closer to 6,000 with the speed that those tickets are selling out. The show is still a couple of months away, and the tickets are selling very well for them. So kudos to AEW and CMLL. Mexico does such a awesome job as fans. We saw that mask versus mask match, and I really feel like that fan base for AAA just made that match better than it actually was. Not to discredit them, but it was a good match, but the crowd made it better. The crowd, having a good pro wrestling crowd does wonders for any show. And I know that they are going to show out really well for Grand Slam Mexico. That is going to be a fun show. Wednesday, August 5th is when that happens. And then MLW Fusion was great. Minus the ending. I really wanted to see the full match between the champ and the Rude Dude, but we saw an interference. And so we'll see where that goes by Hammerstone attacking Riddle and Cross. Very interesting show, though, and it was entertaining. I'm being honest. It was all of these shows, MLP, which I'll show up in a second on the screen. I mean, here's the thing that I took away from WWE stuff this week. Now, I don't watch Raw or SmackDown anymore, but the news that was circulating was this.
As they look to double up against Jade Cargill, and they do!
I mean, that's a bad botch. Jade Cargill's wig falling off there. Like, that's it. That's genuinely what I'm seeing most people talk about from SmackDown. That is how dog shit their product is right now, especially on SmackDown. Raw's not much better. And then here's the MLP Mayhem Night 1 card that happened this Friday. For those of you in Canada who've already seen it, I'm sure it was a great show. I'll catch it when I can. And then the card for Night 2, which also looks phenomenal. And that was yesterday, both at the St. Clair College. TSN, for those of you in Canada. Triller TV, I believe, is going to have it, but I don't think it's up there live because these are tapings. So I'll catch this show when I can and let you guys know how it was, but I'm certain that it was better than what WWE has put out this week. As the card for those two shows, again, there they are up there, just to run through them. Again, real quick, you got some crossover with AEW, which is great. You're seeing Stu Grayson, who used to be in AEW, so that's fun to see. Rhino is there. Johnny TV. TJP. He's a great wrestler. Evil Uno. Those are the guys from AEW Night 1. Night 2, you got Jay Lethal. You've got the Swirl. That should be good. Grizzled Young Vets. Mascara Dorada's over there, teaming up with Captain Suicida. Giselle Shaw is a fucking great worker. She, if you noticed, has wrestled both recording nights, so props out to her. Great lineup for MLP. And like I said, this is a shorter video, so we're going to get right into my DDT of this video. Got one of them for you today. Comes from Wrastlin' Rob at Rob Bohannon. Taking shots on Collision, even though Collision was the best show of the week. He says, 9 matches for a 2-hour show that no one watches on a Saturday night. No. Collision numbers are honestly at the point where they're about to pass NXT numbers. I believe NXT did a little under 500,000. So if we're going to talk about views and ratings and metrics like that, like this person wants to clamor about, well, guess what? Collision has been averaging the same amount as NXT is now averaging. And Dynamite is well above NXT yet again. Just like they kicked their ass back in the day when AEW first started and forced WWE to move nights for NXT. Well, it doesn't even matter anymore because even though they're on separate nights, AEW is once again kicking their butt weekly in ratings. Pretty sure they won basically every single week so far in 2026, and it's probably going to stay that way because NXT is just not it. The best thing that WWE has right now is AAA. That's the only thing that I somewhat care about. Like I said, I don't watch Raw, SmackDown, or NXT anymore. I just keep up with it on socials. And the stuff that I see, I'm telling you guys, don't watch it. The best you can do to make WWE get better is to stop watching their product. And that's exactly what I've done. So for those reasons, Wrastlin' Rob, you're complete full of shit because it was the best wrestling show of the week. Had a lot of good matches. And how do you complain about 9 matches for a 2-hour show? That is more than you get for both Raw and SmackDown combined off of 5 hours currently until SmackDown goes back to 2 hours, but you'll still get less. So for those reasons, Wrastlin' Rob, you're this video's DDT. Again, short video, that's all I had on this episode of Screw Script. I hope you can forgive the shorter video. I think these videos are going to be somewhat shorter from here on out until we move into our new place mid-July. So just kind of going to be a little bit shorter than usual, but that's not going to be permanent. It's just going to be temporary for the next like 5 weeks. Let me know down below what your favorite stuff was from this weekend, packed of pro wrestling with Collision, with Fusion, with MLP if you got to watch that live, if you were there in Canada, or if you streamed it off of Triller, if it's available there, or TSN has it. Let me know down below what your favorite matches were. As always, this has been Maverick with Screw the Script. Thanks for watching.